I've seen wild animals fight for survival in the wilderness, but nothing prepared me for the sound that shattered my soul that morning. Two horses screaming. Not whinnying. Screaming as if their throats had been lit on fire. I dropped the feed bucket and sprinted through the gravel path like a man possessed. When I burst into the barn, I was just in time to see both of them collapse, only feet from the stalls I had built with my own hands. And standing in the middle of it all, calm as a statue, was Denise Crawford from the HOA, holding her phone and smiling like she'd won a prize at the county fair. For a moment, I thought I might have blacked out. The metallic stench of blood mixed with something sweet and rotten filled the air. Hay was scattered across the floor like shredded paper, and my two rescue horses' Mustangs I had fought to save from an illegal auction were twitching on the ground in violent spasms. Denise didn't look scared. She looked proud. "You should have followed the rules, sweetie. This is a residential community, not a petting zoo," she said, holding up a clipboard with a pre-filled HOA citation and casually recording a video like she was documenting a nuisance removal. I stepped forward. She stepped back, pretending to be frightened. "Don't touch me or I'll call the police," she warned, dialing her phone with the same hand that had probably scattered the poison feed. Paramedics arrived first. One of them recognized me. "Agent Callan?" he asked quietly, uncertain whether to use the title around civilians. I nodded but didn't speak. My throat was tight. I'd been in covert wildlife raids where smugglers shot at us from behind cages full of dying creatures. But this was my home. These animals were under federal protection. I told them not to move the bodies until I got photos. Then I called in animal control and wildlife enforcement. Meanwhile, Denise pranced around the neighbors, claiming I had zoo animals and that she had to act for the good of the community. Her crocodile tears dried up the moment I clipped my badge to my vest. She went pale. "You just committed a federal crime," I said, pointing to the fallen horses. Denise tried to pivot, claiming it was an accident, that she saw one of the horses foaming at the mouth and panicked. Her story kept changing, but what didn't change was the evidence. The hay had traces of clenbuterol, an illegal steroid cocktail used to fatten livestock before black market butchering. That poison wasn't from a gardening shed. Someone brought it here. Someone who thought 2 lives could be erased for the sake of silence and a cleaner neighborhood. I walked the perimeter of my property that evening, reliving every moment I'd spent with those horses. I remembered pulling them out of a mud pit near the Nevada border. Skinny, abused, barely breathing. I'd brought them here to recover, to be free. They didn't deserve this. I'd faced smugglers in Central America, poachers in Alaska, and even corrupt park officials in Arizona. But not once did I imagine the most vicious threat would wear a pastel pink tracksuit and live 2 doors down with a poodle named Cupcake. That night, an animal control officer leaned in and whispered this wasn't a one-off. "I've seen cases like this in 2 other neighborhoods. Same setup, HOA complaints, then mysterious animal deaths. But this is the first where someone slipped up." I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the kitchen reviewing barn security footage frame by frame. At 3:42 a.m., a figure in a hoodie slipped through the side gate. They scattered feed from a bucket they brought. By 4:10 a.m., they were gone. At 6:17 a.m., Denise entered the barn with her clipboard and coffee. She didn't flinch when she saw the animals convulsing. That wasn't surprise. That was confirmation. The next morning, I made a call. Not to local police. To Deputy Director Marshall Barnes of the Wildlife Crimes Division. 3 years ago, I helped his niece escape a trafficking ring in Idaho. He owed me a favor. I didn't need to explain much. Just said, "I've got a situation. Bigger than one rogue HOA." Denise didn't know it, but she just declared war on the wrong man. I wasn't just a horse lover with a backyard barn. I was a federal agent with full clearance, a ranch wired with surveillance drones, and friends in places where animal smugglers go to disappear. I was going to burn her empire to the ground without lighting a single match. The news broke locally first, 2 horses found dead amid HOA dispute. But they didn't know the half of it. Behind that simple headline was a web of cruelty and a quiet trafficking ring about to be ripped out by the roots. The day after, the air around the ranch felt off. Not peaceful. Quiet in a way that crept under your skin. Denise wasn't retreating. She was plotting. Her ego was bruised, and now her identity as queen of the cul-de-sac was in jeopardy. Federal agents were inbound, and her name was about to be added to a very different kind of list. I started digging. HOA newsletters, group chats, meeting minutes. Denise had been laying the groundwork for months, pushing to redefine zoning codes to restrict non-traditional pets, a phrase vague enough to let her pick and choose targets. First it was therapy goats, then exotic parrots. Now my horses. Facial recognition from the barn footage gave us a hit. Dale Harwin, former veterinarian, banned for falsifying health certificates. Last known job? A mobile petting zoo raided in connection with exotic animal trafficking. Buried in those case files was a note. Employee claimed HOA member funneled animals under guise of rehoming. It all clicked. Denise wasn't just enforcing policy. She was clearing the field. My Mustangs weren't just pets. They were witnesses. Witnesses with federal tags. We deployed surveillance tech. Drones, soil sensors, thermal cameras. Within 48 hours, we had footage of Denise and Harwin moving a crate into a trailer. A weak neigh came from inside. We enhanced the audio. This one better sell better than the last two. I sent it to Barnes. By morning, we had a federal warrant. Denise, meanwhile, started a campaign to evict me from the neighborhood. Flyers, coffee meetups, intimidation tactics. She didn't know the board had already been warned. Any move against me was obstruction of justice. Then we traced her router. It was communicating with a server registered to a shell animal export company in Florida. They were preparing new documents likely to move more animals. A retired teacher named Janice came to my door, terrified. She'd seen Denise dragging something with legs out of her garage. I gave her a burner phone and asked her to stay alert. Then came the twist. Drone footage caught a man entering the HOA office late at night. A matte black SUV. Locked case. The vehicle matched one from a busted exotic transport ring. Suddenly, it wasn't just Denise. It was the HOA. We went undercover. I posed as a disgraced exotic breeder looking to unload rare hybrids. Within 12 hours, Travis Maddox, an animal handler tied to the network, contacted me. Client hates exposure, he said. That client was Denise. We staged a meetup in a field just outside the neighborhood. Hidden cameras. Drones. Agents disguised as joggers. I brought a fake foal replica. Denise arrived with Maddox and a third man. She wore pearls. Suburban royalty. We'll take it. Load it into my truck. Same spot as before, she said. That confirmed it. Multiple transactions. I tapped my collar mic. Agents swarmed. Maddox tossed. Third man tackled. Denise screamed about her HOA rights as I approached. Federal Wildlife Enforcement, I said, flashing my badge. You're done. They found microchips in her SUV linked to animals missing from sanctuaries across 3 states. One matched a foal I had helped rescue. The operation cracked wide open. HOA meetings, inspections, rehoming orders, all part of a laundering empire. A man named Everett Cole, a so-called compliance consultant, turned out to be the linchpin. Coordinating HOA visits, generating phony paperwork, pushing policies to target animal owners. We lured him in, too. A wired clubhouse. A fake HOA president, me. Cole bragged about fabricated forms and fake shelters. Agents stormed in. His laptop contained maps of 5 states, lists of targets, profit estimates, and transport routes. By Sunday, 12 more warrants were issued. Denise sat in county jail, her empire crumbling. A former HOA board member named Lewis flipped. He gave us spreadsheets, email chains, even minutes from secret meetings. He'd helped fake a euthanasia report for a miniature horse he'd seen alive the day before. That was his line. The phantom shelter listed in the paperwork didn't even exist. It had closed 2 years prior but was still used in falsified records 17 times in Denise's documents alone. The trial was a media circus. Denise showed up in a prison jumpsuit, a far cry from her pastel blazers. Evidence rolled out for days. Surveillance videos, bank records, forged documents. Her voice, mocking my horse's deaths, silenced the courtroom. Guilty. On all counts. 20 years. No parole for the first 12. Additional penalties pending. Back on the ranch, we rebuilt. The surviving horses returned. Volunteers poured in. A barn became a rehab center. A foal was born. We named her Liberty. A documentary crew showed up. called it pasture of justice. I hated the title but agreed. People needed to know. Karen Denise was gone. But the message was clear. This land wasn't just property. It was a line in the sand. And if anyone came again to erase life in the name of order, they'd find justice had taken root and grown teeth.